ASAP Rocky, like really, like come on. And it's like doing little slick shit like that is just like, it turns a lot of people off to your music and your personality and just who you are as an artist. Like a lot of the alliances that you see that he formed this year is like, huh, I didn't know Carti, mess with these people. All right, I don't know if it's just me, but over the last, over the last few years or so, I want to say Carti's become very unlikable. And I'm not just saying this just to say it, but I actually have reasons. And if you actually ask a lot of people in Carti's fan base, they'll probably have the same kind of reasons that I do. Maybe not everything, but there are a few reasons out there as to why a lot of Carti fans don't support Carti as much as they used to. And there are reasons why a lot of Carti fans will support Carti throughout whatever. So yeah, these are pretty much my reasons why I feel like Carti is slowly becoming a narcissist, like he's actually claimed himself to be. So first of all, I feel like Carti is very disloyal to his fan base. If you guys remember last year, 2024, actually going into 2024 rather, I think Carti was I remember Academics was on a stream and he had actually said Carti was talking to him and basically that he'd be dropping his album 2024, I Am Music, in January 2024. So all of 2024 basically passes and no album was released by Playboi Carti. He dropped a bunch of songs, not a bunch of songs, he dropped like 5 or 6 songs, but no album came. And this is something a lot of fans had been expecting since A Whole Lotta Red came out in 2020, which was 4 years later. And someone like Carti wouldn't really expect him to take so long to drop albums, but he was dropping at like a Kendrick rate, pretty much like every 4 years or every whatever, however many years. So it had gotten to a point where just fans had been waiting for years at that point, and all you were getting was like leaks or just random songs that would come out. Like you have 2024 music that came out, you had Tundra that came out, albeit all the songs that he dropped were pretty good, but people were still waiting for an album. And it had gotten to a point too where it was like Carti was basically telling everyone, oh, I'm gonna drop. And the whole year passed and he never dropped the album. Like I said, he only dropped the songs that he randomly dropped on Instagram or YouTube or whatever other platform. Like none of those songs that from last year actually went on to DSPs. And for most of the fans of Carti, I'm sure it was annoying to like actually try and go, if you want to go listen to the songs, like you got to go listen to it through IG if you don't have access to like actually download the songs from like a YouTube or whatever the case is. And coupled with this, Carti has never been like the best communicator in terms of communicating with his fans, really. He would communicate through certain people and through certain blogs and stuff like that, but it would be very, very vague. Like it'll be like, oh yeah, twin, I'm dropping, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that. And it's like people were putting themselves out there to kind of like say, oh yeah, no, I got the word from Carti that he's gonna do this, he's gonna do that, and it never came. And so a lot of people were disgruntled basically last year about him not dropping that album and just dropping Lucy. And truth be told, I feel like if Carti had dropped last year, the hype for the album would have been much bigger than it was this year. I think he sold 298 first week. I think he sold. If he had dropped at the peak of like, his run last year, like after he dropped those first 3 songs, people were excited for him to drop the album. If he had dropped like right after that or sometime around that, I feel like Carti would have probably sold in the 400s without any bundles, without anything. But he let that moment die down, and basically the whole year passed and people started getting pissed off at a certain point. There's even tweets from people basically saying like, all right, let's all unfollow this guy, just to kind of like make him feel like let's all unfollow this guy to basically make him feel like, the support is kind of like going away. Because a lot of the narrative with a lot of Carti fans is just like, regardless of what he does, and Carti's done some fucked up shit, regardless of what he does, the fans are still going to be there to support. And truthfully, that ended up being the case. I still think he could have done better with the sales from this album, but that was the case from, you know, the album dropping, because as soon as he dropped, the whole narrative changed of like, oh my god, I love Carti, it's Carti this, Carti that. So the fans are very like flip-floppy, if you ask me, in terms of the support. I'm sure there were still people that were kind of like pissed off of not, you know, getting what they wanted or when they wanted it, but there's still a lot of fans that's still gonna show up and support at the end of the day, regardless of what this guy does. He used all of 2024, and I had said this going into 2024, seeing how he was doing all the performances at Rolling Loud. He used last year, and I think he had mentioned it to DJ Academics too. He made the most money last year from not dropping any music. And what basically happened with Carti, and like I said, what I noticed going into 2024 was he was basically headlining every single Rolling Loud. And I'm pretty sure he was probably getting paid close to like 2 to 5 million to perform at those shows. So if he did 5 Rolling Louds that year, he would have made anywhere upwards of like 5 or 7 to 10 million dollars or even more. So it kind of like made him lazy in a sense of like, I don't really need to drop because I'm making more money than I would have made if I dropped my album just performing these sets at Rolling Loud once every couple months. So it kind of like made him lazy too. And I don't know if a lot of fans noticed that, but I noticed it at the ending of 2023. I'm like, yeah, going into next year, he's getting this performance and this rager and this just, you know, this mystique and this aura where it's like his shows are up here. There's not going to be any reason that he needs to actually drop an album. And I think, truth be told, from his perspective, what he did was smart in terms of just not working as much or not making people see him work as much and just dropping those songs every couple months and then performing it out of Rolling Loud. And it had gotten to the point where it was just like Carti's fans were more responsible for keeping his hype alive than Carti himself. Like, he knew Carti's basically like that toxic ex where it's like, you know, like they know that you need them and it's like they're gonna do whatever the hell they want because at the end of the day you're still gonna come back to them. And that's what it is. That's the relationship it is with Carti fans in my second reason, and this kind of goes into the next few points that I have too. Carti had a lot of alliances over the past year that kind of like sided against certain people. And when I say certain people, I mean Drake. Out of nowhere, Carti signed with EXO. Carti had been messing with Rocky, so that's not an issue, whatever. But out of nowhere, he kind of like signed to EXO. Not signed to EXO as an artist. I think they're just on a management kind of deal. And yeah, like kind of just like instead of staying neutral, he basically kind of got caught in the whirlwind. And even though he doesn't speak much, like your actions say a lot more than, you know, your words sometimes. If you ask me, I didn't understand the signing to EXO. Carti has, in my opinion, a hype that's bigger than The Weeknd. Like obviously Weeknd's the bigger artist or whatever, but he has a hype that's much bigger than The Weeknd, in my opinion. And I feel like him associating with certain people was not to the benefit of Carti. It was more so to the benefit of that person. The EXO situation per se, like Weeknd has had quite a few songs over the last. Weeknd's probably had the most features with Carti in the last year than any other artist, to be real with you. And it hasn't done anything for Carti. Like none of those songs have done more for The Weeknd than they have for Playboi Carti. And it's like, I don't know if he notices or not sometimes, like he's selling himself short by, well, in this situation, I feel like he sold himself short by aligning with certain people and not being able to align himself with other people. Yeah, Carti had a song that was supposed to come out with Drake on this album, or the For All the Dogs album, and it basically didn't come out because of his allegiances. And it's just like, you're selling yourself short of doing good music with different artists because of who you're aligning yourself with. And it came to the point where, you know, regardless of what you said, and I think DJ Academics had also said in a stream, Carti said he doesn't see Drake as like a op, but it's like you're doing things that an op would do, kind of, you know. You have songs with the guy, and that song, I feel like that song with Drake, like based on what was said about it, could have probably been the biggest song on this album. Truth be told, I don't think any song on the I Am Music album stuck out to the point where it's like it's gonna be number one. If you look at the charts, obviously I think Carti charted every song on this album, but I don't believe those songs will be still, like most of those songs that are in the top 10 or top 20, they're probably gonna be out of there by next week. And you know, I can't say it's a loyalty thing because I don't know how long Carti's been messing with Drake, with Drake, or how long he's been messing with The Weeknd. But it kind of just seems fishy because you've never had a feature with some of these guys, and then out of nowhere you're suddenly not signed as musically, but signed as a management deal to a label that you've never had any association with. And yeah, you could have had relationships behind the scene, that's fine or whatever, but when it comes down to it, when you kind of look at it from the outside perspective, it's kind of just like a lot of the alliances that you see that he formed this year is like, I didn't know Carti, you know, mess with these people. Like, he's had songs with Drake before, he's had conversations with Drake, like if you've seen the conversations, people have posted the stuff, Drake has even posted the stuff. So it's just like, and I think Ian Connor put together the Paid 1993 song. So it's just like you see the relationship that he has with one person, and then suddenly that relationship just kind of goes away because of a situation. And yeah, it kind of just seemed like, you know, Carti has always kind of like been that person that kind of moves on his own and does his own thing. He has his own style, he has his own aesthetic. He's created a lane for several people that actually even have that aesthetic, and just seeing himself align with certain people because of industry politics, it's just kind of weird to see. Granted, the songs he's made with The Weeknd are good. The songs that he's made with, and we'll get into it later, the songs that he's made with Kendrick aren't really my cup of tea in my opinion, but yeah, it's just weird seeing him put himself with people that he's had no alliance to. Like, I would have been cool with him like doing stuff with Rocky, but he hasn't done a song with Rocky. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't remember the last song that Carti did with Rocky outside of I can't remember the last song Carti did with Rocky. I was gonna say Magnolia, but he wasn't on Magnolia, to be real with you. New Chopper maybe, I don't know, but I haven't heard anything else after that. And that kind of brings me into my next point too, of the allegiances. So Carti is signed to A$AP Rocky's label, if you guys don't know, AWGE. And till this day, I don't understand the signing. Like, I don't understand why. Like, in the beginning, I would have said, yes, I understand the signing, but I don't know what deal Carti has himself in with Rocky. But Carti is a much bigger artist than Rocky at this point, and him still being signed to Rocky under whatever label Rocky's under, and not just being signed to like a major by himself, or even signing himself to his own record label, is kind of weird to me. Like, yes, A$AP Rocky helped Carti get on. I don't even want to say that. He supported Carti at the beginning of his career, and like around the Magnolia times, and you know, the early albums and stuff. But he's grown way past Rocky, and Rocky has probably been worse than Carti at dropping music, to be real with you. I don't know if Rocky still, you know, he does his fashion stuff, and so he's not that focused on music, I get, but I don't get the signing or and I actually wonder when what he has left on that contract to fulfill it, because if Carti doesn't drop consistently, like he hadn't dropped before he dropped this album in 5 years. Let's say he has 2 albums left. Carti is what, 29, about to be 30, 28. If you take another 4 years or 5 years to drop an album, you're not gonna get out of this deal until like you're in your mid 30s. And at that point, how long can Carti really sustain this mystique or this aura that he has amongst like the younger generation? Because those guys are gonna grow up at some point too, and it's gonna be like, all right, why are you still, you know, not evolving? Why are you still the same artist and you're still signed to this label? Meanwhile, you got Canon, you got Destroy Lonely, you have your own label, you just aren't on your own kind of thing. You got artists like Drake signed to UMG, even Kendrick signed to Interscope. Weeknd, I think he signed to Republic. Travis, I'm not sure. I think he's a Sony artist, but all those major guys, they're signed to majors. They're not signed to a smaller label that's signed to a major label. And I kind of hope to see that for the future for Carti, because him kind of like still being under that label is kind of like you're still getting a little broad. And yes, you're gonna get, people are gonna eat off your music regardless, but ASAP Rocky, like really, like come on. I'm sure Carti could do better than that. And truth be told, he's been teasing that he's gonna drop another album soon, so maybe he's kind of like noticing that himself and kind of wants to get out from the I guess you would say the grips of another artist to kind of like go and sign a new deal to, you know, basically do things on his own. And at this point, I just feel like he's being used by some of these people. Yes, he has good relationships with these people, but someone like Rocky is not benefiting Carti in any way right now. Someone like Kendrick is not benefiting Carti in any way right now. Someone like Weeknd is not really benefiting Carti in any way right now. All those people that I mentioned get more benefit from messing with Carti than Carti does with them. Rocky, pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, he doesn't drop music that much. Weeknd, he drops music, he's a consistent artist, but Carti kind of like brought some more hype to him than he had before. And whether that be from the younger generation or a different crowd, whatever it is, he's added more to the Weeknd than I think the Weeknd has added to Carti. Kendrick, I really don't even get the feature. He had 3 features on Carti's album, and I think he was featured on Mojo Jojo, Good Credit, and some I can't remember the other song with Janae Aiko, but he's featured on those 3 songs. And I'm gonna be real with you, if you go online, like you'll see tweets from people basically saying like, why is he on this album? Like he kind of ruined those songs. Mojo Jojo, hold on, and I'll go, you'll even have streamers that are kind of saying like, why is he here?
Just like that card.
Bro, what is this nigga just like that, Carti? Bro, he moaning, seducing this nigga. Was that nigga in this nigga ear when he was making this song like that? Just like that, Carti, just like that. I know he wasn't. Why did he add that? Bro, it's throwing me. He said it not once, not twice, 3 times. Hold on.
And like, yeah, you'll see stuff like this, and a lot of people just add reactions, different reactions, basically saying like, yeah, like why is Kendrick on here? Good Credit, like I watched Carti perform, like I watched a clip of him perform at Rolling Loud, and when that part of the song came on, everybody was just kind of just like standing there, and it's like it doesn't fit. No Diddy, it doesn't fit like the sound that Carti has, and it's just like it doesn't make sense. And I feel like he's being used in this situation specifically by Kendrick, because it's like Kendrick knows his hype. Kendrick knows, and again, going back to the song that Carti had on, Drake had on, possibly on Carti's album. Apparently Kendrick produced or executive produced 2025 or I Am Music, whatever. And if that song was really on there, obviously it was gonna get taken off. And there's actually a theory that this TikToker made, and Academics had mentioned it too, about the song that Drake had with Carti had a Luther Vandross feature. And what's the biggest song that Kendrick has right now in terms of like the charts? A song named Luther. And they were rumored to be working together since like November.
Are you gonna be in love with me? I want you and need you to be. Oh my God.
A quick recap of the timeline. Pre-October 2023, Drake and Carti make a track with the Luther Vandross sample, one of the best Luther Vandross songs, by the way. Drake then decides to give that song to Carti to put on his album 2024 Music, which was slated to come out in 2024. Rap beef happened, which took course from March till about May, and then Carti and Kendrick lock in November 2024.
That's what he told me. He was like, Kendrick's on tour with him, and Kendrick is like overseeing the shit. Told me Kendrick locked in with him November 2024. That's what he told me.
And in that same month of 2024, when tensions between UMG and Drake are heating up and is reaching a legal point, Kendrick decides to surprise drop GNX, which includes the track Luther, which features a Luther Vandross sample. And now, months after that album dropped, we're seeing Luther hit #1 on the Billboard charts at a time where Kendrick's numbers are facing heavy skepticism because of the blatant industry and UMG push. This can all just be coincidental. The collab tape between Drake and Carti that Ak is talking about in this clip right here, Kendrick could have never heard it when he tapped in with Carti in November 2024, and then 3 weeks later drop a track called Luther with the Luther Vandross sample. He could have just never heard that, and it could have just came from his own creativity. He also may not have used that creative control to scrap Drake's Luther track from Carti's project in order to add 3 of his own songs on the Carti's project. What I think that this line, also this line, definitely this line, especially this line, and last but not least this line, along with the rest of Drake's diss tracks, are aging like the finest of wines.
Yeah, and then you got, again, just like that TikToker just showed, like, it's just weird. The timelines actually align and they match up, but it's just weird, like the way that things work out. Because again, like, I feel that song could have probably been bigger than whatever offering that Kendrick and Carti had. And if you fast forward to kind of like now too, I don't know if you guys remember, Offset had kind of like teased a song that he had with Carti, and yeah, he played it in the club and it sounded good, and I don't know, for some reason Carti didn't want to release it. But come to find out, like, a lot of people have kind of like tried to blackball Offset from the industry, and the song that Offset played in the club with Carti ends up on Nav's album, and Nav is signed to who? EXO. So it's like doing like random shit like that. It's like that song with Offset, from what I heard, sounded better than whatever Nav played or Nav had on his album. Like, it didn't even sound like a good Carti feature, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know if they changed the verse or whatever, but it doesn't sound the same. The beat is the same, but it doesn't sound the same as it did with the Offset one. And it's like doing little slick shit like that is just like, it turns a lot of people off to your music and your personality and just who you are as an artist. And I feel like it's gonna get to a point where I'm not even gonna speak on all the allegations that Carti has. And truth be told, when you look at Kendrick too, based on everything that Carti has in terms of allegations and stuff, like, for Kendrick to still be kind of messing with him as an artist, it sounds kind of crazy. And truth be told, for a lot of fans to be messing with Carti as an artist too, after everything that's been said about him, it sounds crazy as well. And I'll even play this clip.
Kendrick fans will be like, yeah, you do. Kendrick said that shit about Drake to win a rap beef. He didn't say it for y'all to be doing all this weird shit. Now, he's not gonna come out and say, oh, yo, y'all doing too much. But it's very clear. There's multiple situations of everybody who you could really put Kendrick's whole history in, accused of the same things that he seems to be trying to stand on while pointing the finger and wagging at someone else. TDE, as a company, has been accused of sexual harassment and assault. Metro Boomin, the guy who produced Like That, was accused of sexual assault. He's said that Dr. Dre's his mentor. He was signed to TDE. Again, you should realize that that's not his end-all be-all. That's y'all. Y'all are weird.
And yeah, like, if you look at a lot of the stuff that Carti's had in terms of, you know, court stuff and allegations, it's kind of crazy for someone that claims himself to be the self-righteous person to kind of be messing with someone like Carti, and someone that released a song called Watch the Party Die is basically trying to be at the party right now. So I don't know, stuff like that is just weird to me. Like, aligning yourself with people that you see, you know, are trying to take advantage of whatever you have in terms of notoriety and use it for their own benefit. And it's going to come down to a point where people are going to start questioning Carti. Like, the younger generation really looks at Carti as, like, you know, one of their goats. Him, Youngboy, and Dirk and stuff like that. They really look at those guys as like their top guys in that generation. And it's a microwave generation, like, where they need stuff, you know, quickly, to kind of like fulfill whatever music withdrawals that they're having. And for Carti to be taking so long, and again, I will say he does this masterfully in terms of like still being in the public eye. Like even if he's not dropping music consistently, he'll drop 1 or 2 or 3 songs, but he's gonna perform at 17 Rolling Louds. But in terms of like actually putting out bodies of work, like he's not doing it on a consistent basis. And I hope that changes, because I feel like he's probably seeing the support that he's getting from this album. So I hope that kind of changes and kind of like takes away that mystique whatever the word is, that he has to kind of like become like a normal artist and kind of like just start dropping more consistently. Because again, like I said, the fans in this generation and that generation there, it's gonna get to a point where somebody else is gonna come. Like you got Destroy and you got Ken there at some point. You got you got a bunch of guys that does kind of like something similar to what Carti does, and it's gonna get to a point where it's gonna be like, all right, I can go get my fix somewhere else, as opposed to waiting for you every 17 years to drop an album. So yeah. At one point Carti felt like a once in a generation artist. He's carving out his own lane, and that's still the case, but I feel like if he stays on this path, it's gonna change. He doesn't seem like he values his fans as much as he should, to be honest with you. Like you'll have those random videos that he's like, oh, I love you, whatever, but it doesn't show in terms of the consistency that he has. Other artists at some point that who are in shadows are probably going to end up surpassing him at some point if he doesn't remain consistent after dropping this album. You're going to get to a point where you start asking yourself, like, does he really care about his career, in terms of this career and his fan base, in terms of like what he's doing, not just with the music but just with the personal stuff. Like, does he really care about maintaining a good public image and just being someone that fans kind of look at and be like, okay, no, this is I don't want to say like artists shouldn't be the example that you look to kind of like be a better person, but still like someone that isn't like a piece of shit, pretty much, a complete piece of shit, and then it makes people think like that's the way to be. And yeah, no, that basically it's getting harder to justify kind of like being a fan when you can kind of see someone that doesn't look like they really want to do this. Like they'd rather just take all the stuff that they get with being an artist as opposed to just being an artist. And I don't know, that's how I feel, that's how I see it. And hopefully he changes, but truth be told, in this generation, like if you're getting the support that he gets, regardless of what you do, then it's going to be hard for someone to see their actions or what they're doing as wrong. So I don't know, let me know what you guys think, man. Those are my reasons why I kind of think Carti is kind of not falling off, but is not as appealing to certain fans as he was maybe a few years ago. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Comment, like the video, subscribe if you like the video as well. Yeah, hopefully I'll be, a little bit more consistent with dropping content, just dropping like random videos like this. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, man.